Hi guys, welcome back to Kim's class. Today's lesson is the second lesson in the unit talking about friends and neighbors. But before we talk about the objectives for today's lesson, I want to share something pretty exciting with you. If you are interested in actually getting the worksheets that you see in this video, you can access them for free by clicking on the link. This will take you to a place where all these worksheets are. You can also find these worksheets and other activities and videos on my website at kimsclass.com. So let's go ahead now and move into today's grammar lesson. The first objective for today's lesson says, I can use the because clause and the because of phrase to give reason or explanation for something. We'll talk more in detail about that in a minute. The second objective says, I know when to use each form and can correctly put them into sentences and paragraphs. Now, I bet you didn't realize that there's two ways to use the word because. One way is to use because, which is a clause. We just use the word because. Another way to use the word because is in what we would call a phrase, and that's when we use because of. Now, I know it sounds a little confusing, but when you look at the grammar chart, I think you'll have a better idea of what I'm talking about. So let's go ahead and look at this grammar chart and get a little more explanation. So again, our grammar focus for today is clauses and phrases with the word because. Now, as you can see, we use a because clause or a because of phrase to give an explanation for something. We use because in a clause with a subject and a verb. And then we use because of before a noun to make a phrase. So let's look carefully at just the use of the because clause. So the because clause is used in this way. Let's look at the example sentences. Anna can't reach the smoke alarm because the ceiling is too high. Now, if you look at the words after because, the ceiling is too high, you see that that is actually a complete sentence. The ceiling is too high. A complete sentence. Let's look at the example below. Because the ceiling is too high, Anna can't reach the smoke alarm. So again, we can use that word because to add to an already complete sentence. Look again at the words after because. The ceiling is too high. Anna can't reach the smoke alarm. That's a complete sentence. But now let's look at how because of is used and then a noun phrase, which would mean it's not a complete sentence. Anna can't reach the smoke alarm because of the high ceiling. Could you say the high ceiling and make it a complete sentence? You can't. So do you see how because of is used before a noun phrase? Let's look at the next example. Because of the high ceiling, Anna can't reach the smoke alarm. Again, if I took because of off the sentence, it would not be a complete sentence. I can't just say the high ceiling. Anna can't reach the smoke alarm. It's missing something, isn't it? So that's one way to work through this because clause and because of clause. Let's try to see if in a paragraph we can understand this a little bit better. So here you see a paragraph with some blanks. You're going to try to decide whether you're going to put because or because of. Let's go ahead and look at some of the examples, and maybe I can give you a few hints as to how to decide whether or not you're going to use because or because of. One trick you might want to think about is this. If the blank is followed by a verb somewhere in the rest of the sentence, you know to use because. So if we look at the first sentence, Sheila wanted to bake a cake because it was her friend Shamal's birthday. Do you see how after the word because, it was her friend Shamal's birthday is a complete sentence? That way I know to work the word because in that sentence. However, let's look at the very last sentence in this paragraph. Okay, the last sentence where the blank is says blank the nice surprise. Shamal had a fantastic birthday. Now, the nice surprise. Is that a complete sentence? It isn't. So that way I know I'm going to put because of the nice surprise. Get it? Trust me, we'll have some practice with this later. But for now, I want you to try to fill in these blanks on your own. Pause the video, complete the blanks, then turn the video back on and we'll go over the answers together. All right? Go ahead and pause your video now. All right, class, let's see how we did. Stella wanted to bake a cake because it was her friend Shamal's birthday. Stella needed to go to the store because she didn't have any sugar. However, her car wouldn't start. Because of this problem, she couldn't drive to the store. She couldn't walk to the store because of the distance. It was more than 5 miles away. Stella had a smart idea. She went to her neighbor June's house to borrow a cup of sugar. June was happy to help because she had lots of sugar and she was a great neighbor. After making the cake, Stella went to Shamal's house with a pretty cake. When Shamal opened the door, Stella shouted, "Happy birthday!" Shamal was very surprised and happy. Because of the nice surprise, Shamal had a fantastic birthday. So class, how'd you do on that activity? If you didn't do well, that's okay. That's why we're learning. I have another activity that maybe will make more sense. What we're going to do now is just work on individual sentences. On your screen, you see 10 sentences. You're going to choose either because or because of to complete each sentence. Now remember, I gave you a hint or a clue about how you can decide which one to use. So remember, if the words after the blank make a complete sentence, then you're going to use the word because. If the words after the blank do not make a complete sentence, then you're going to use the words because of. Now I'm going to help you with 2 of these sentences just so you get some more practice. Let's start at looking at number 1. Number 1 says, Sabrina borrowed some money. She wants to buy a car. Now I need to decide if I'm going to use because or because of. So let's look at the words after the blank. She wants to buy a car. Is that a complete sentence? It is, isn't it? So we're going to use the word because. Sabrina borrowed some money because she wants to buy a car. Makes sense? But let's look at sentence number 2. Amar travels a lot. His job. Let's look at the words after the blank. His job. Is that a complete sentence? His job? It isn't, is it? So then we know we're going to use the words because of. Amar travels a lot because of his job. I bet it's making more sense now, isn't it? So, what I want you to do is to complete the rest of these sentences on your own. Pause the video, complete the activity, then turn the video back on and I'll give you the correct answers. Go ahead, pause your video now. All right, class, we've already done number 1 and 2, so let's start with number 3. Manir and Alberto were late because of a flat tire. Number 4. Khalid studies for 3 hours because he had a big test. Number 5. Mona called the manager because her neighbors were too noisy. Number 6. Coco couldn't sleep last night because she had a headache. Number 7. Danish couldn't lock the door because he lost his keys. Number 8. Adele moved to the city because of her husband's job. Number 9. Abram couldn't drive his car because of the broken window. Number 10. Bellamy and Zahir didn't go out because of the bad weather. So class, I bet you did better on that one, didn't you? Well, that's going to complete today's lesson, but let's check out our objectives and see how we did. Can you use the because clause and the because of phrase to give a reason or explanation for something? I think you can. Do you know when to use each form, and can you correctly put them in sentences and paragraphs? We just did that too, didn't we? So class, that's the lesson for today. But before we go, I want to remind you of a few things. First, if you're interested in working on some of these worksheets while you see the video, make sure you click on this link and it will take you to these worksheets for free. Second, you can find other videos and other activities on my website at kimsclass.com. So as we say goodbye, I have 4 quick requests. First, make sure that you like this video. Second, click on the subscribe button so that every time I post a new video, you'll get notified. Third, if you think others may enjoy these videos as much as I hope you did, share it with them. And lastly, write me a comment in the comment section below. I'd love to hear from you. But for now, I have to go. I hope you know what a blessing it is to see you here in Kim's class. Thank you for allowing me to come on this journey with you to learn English. Hope to see you soon.